So I'm here with award-winning comedy actor, writer, and entrepreneur Ali Kahn, who's the founder of Big Comedy Shop, who is also one of my best friends in the entire world and somebody that makes me laugh non-stop against my will. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today, Ali Kahn. How are you feeling?
I hope it's not against your will. I don't want that. I want you to give me your full consent when I make you chuckle and guffaw. Hello, Lizzie. What a lovely introduction. You're very dear to me, darling. It's so wonderful to see you and your Golden Girls loving ways.
Yes, it's good to have my new jumper, the Golden Girls. Stay golden. I'm obsessed with the Golden Girls. I know it's dear to your heart as well.
Very dear.
So I just want everyone to know that Ali Kahn is somebody who inspired me greatly in the early days of comedy, in my early days of stepping out. We found each other quite randomly, actually. Do you want to tell the story? Because I always like hearing it. I was a bit of a pursuer. You were a distancer in therapeutic language.
Yeah, well, yeah, indeed. We met in recovery. We met at a 12-step meeting, didn't we? I think it was a women's one, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. And I walked into, I mean, you were a good few years in recovery at that point. 4 years, you were nearly 4 years, weren't you? And yes, Elizabeth was there. I walked into the room, or glided rather, as I was high on life at that point, and slightly unbalanced. And Lizzie we could just kind of locked eyes in a totally platonic way. There was love at first sight, and we just kind of you were just like, oh my God, your energy. It's like we were meant to meet. Like that's what you were like from the start. Yeah, you did kind of pursue me, I guess, but I was loving it.
I absolutely did, because as soon I heard a lot about you before I met you. Somebody was telling me, oh, there's this amazing woman. She's so funny. She's got a comedy school for kids. She's done loads of this, that, and the other. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to meet her, because I was balls deep into my comedy writing degree, wasn't I? Comedy writing performance degree. So it was really kind of like wonderful to meet somebody who was moving in my arena, because I wasn't really dealing with the comedy circuit very well, because it's very alcoholic and
Yeah.
kind of, it was just sort of quite a lonely environment, wasn't it? And kind of, I felt really kind of vulnerable in the comedy scene. I don't know what your experience of that was. So
Yeah, I think what was great was the fact that they say in the recovery world, to try and focus on the similarities, but the mind does not work that way. So meeting someone like yourself, where we both shared our drug of choice, we both had, comedy was a passion of ours. We both used comedy. We were funny, and we were both performers and in recovery. And it was just kind of meant to be, really. It was, and let me just say, Lizzie, as well, that you were an enormous part of my journey in terms of metaphorically kicking my buttocks, because I was very high on life, as I said, but I dropped very quickly, early stages of recovery, into quite a dark place, really. I was very depressed, and I was full of anxiety, and you were there to kind of go, come on, let's go on stage and make people laugh. That will help.
Yeah, I mean, when it was kind of, for me, it was I know mental health issues. I'm constantly in a state of balancing my own mental health. I think, it's such a, as you know now, and probably maybe I don't know, but we have to bring in all these other pieces in, don't we? We have to think of the holistic view of our physical health and our mental health and our, well, you have to look, I'm going to shut up about that. What I really wanted to talk about is you and I started something magical, and today it's Hilarapy. You and I started addictive comedy together. And that came about because our dear mutual friend, Deb Drinkwater, had opened up this dry bar in the centre of Manchester and said, Lizzie, will you come? Say that again?
Michaela was a big part of that as well. Yeah,
Michaela.
Michaela.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course. But I didn't really meet her till after. And Deb said, look, will you come along and do a comedy night for us? And I just immediately went, let's call it addictive comedy. And then I went, Ali, we're going to do a comedy night. And you were like, oh, no, I don't think so. And I went, yes, we're doing it. All right. And you were going, oh, all right.
That was it was such an enormous foundation for me, because when I was in active addiction, I ran a comedy school for kids, improvisation comedy school for kids, and did like bespoke comedy workshops about self-development stuff. But I wasn't practicing what I was preaching, yeah? And I got into recovery, and like I say, when I dropped into that depression, I dropped hard. But actually, the time of doing addictive comedy with you, it forced an energy onto me and through me. That's how it felt. And getting up there, it's like I started seeing myself the way that you looked at me. You looked at me like with this big, enthusiastic eyes, and you were just so validating in terms of my talent, and it was clear the chemistry we had as well. But I was still in a really bad place. But getting up on that stage and doing those nights, what it gave to me and to us, and what it gave to all those people in recovery. Some people, the man that I'm going to marry was there 6 weeks into treatment. He just got into treatment, and 6 weeks in, and he's at this dry comedy night, and it was a profound experience for him, as it has been, we both know, for so many people. And the fact that went on to then forming Hilarapy, and you left, and it was like, oh, but I continued doing it as well, and you helped me get that confidence to do that. And then you went over across the seas, and now look what you're doing. I'm incredibly proud of you. It's amazing. But that was the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the
seeds.
It was the seeds, and it was the you know what was really interesting is because I was relying heavily on my writing, and you have this amazing ability to just get on stage and just open up and talk. And that, I know, comes from that job that you had. Well, obviously your natural ability is a kind of just storytelling and just, making people laugh. But I just felt this enormous confidence being able to stand next to somebody who could hold a room effortlessly without even preparing anything. But then I would write something for both of us, like a rap or something. And I would come around to your house and you'd be like, oh, really? And I'd be like, yes, we've got to practice. And you'd be really resistant. And I'd be like, please, I'd have to beg you, please, just give it a chance. And then we would practice like 10 minutes before the show, or like 3 days before the show. We'd get a few hours in and we'd create something really cool together. And I think, I had that fear of getting up and just being me without anything. And you had this fear of kind of writing and preparing. And together we kind of had that match. Now, moving on, when I left and did what I did, you actually really blossomed, and you wrote this at the similar time to me. I was writing a one-woman show out here, and you were writing a one-woman show which you entered into a festival, Manchester Fringe Festival, and you won 2 bloody awards, didn't you? You won.
I bloody did.
Tell us what you won.
It won, it was an autobiographical show, and it was all about my relationship with my addiction, from food to sex to weed, which was my drug of choice. And the whole show was basically about, before getting into recovery, and then after getting into recovery. Am I allowed to say what it's called? Because it's a naughty word.
Go for it.
It's called the fuck it button. And it's all about the fact there's an expression called, oh, I just didn't care, or just that kind of thing where you hit that button. But sometimes there's a negative connotation, which there was before getting into recovery. And then for me, the connotation was positive in terms of actually, F it, I can look after myself. I can make good choices. I can change, and I can develop as a person and respect myself. And at the same time, which was weird, it was like this serendipitous thing, wasn't it? Like you were doing your show, which again was autobiographical and very deep. And we were both facing real, like it was very therapeutic for both of us, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we really were there for each other, supporting each other and kind of going, oh, what are you thinking about? And what are you doing? And that was really great for me. I mean, I really bared my soul, and I did some drama in mine, which is quite new for me, but I married the kind of comedy with the drama. But I watched yours and it was so good. Like, if you've got to follow Ali Kahn. We're going to put all her links in the chat box right now. You can have a look at that and stuff like that. But so funny with characters. You are an amazing character actor, and you're currently recording, or just finished recording, this your part in this BAFTA winning children's comedy for CBBC, which means, for Canadians, children's BBC. And you've been noticed so much recently by producers. I'm crying about it. Producers and directors and people who want more of you. And this is what I saw from you. Like the moment I met you, I just saw you've got this amazing energy, this captivating, powerful presence and voice, and you're just so funny. And really, with this and with all of us, it's always about how we limit and see ourselves. And what I've seen, not that you've got any better than you always were, I'm sure you have, obviously, because we always progress, but you've just allowed yourself to be, to be out in the world. Because I know that you struggle with anxiety, and that's fear, right? And huge amounts of it. And that is crippling. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you manage your crippling anxiety and your, going out into the world and shining bright?
For me, it's been about immersing myself in self-development, really, which for me has first of all gone beyond a 12-step program. For me, it's about therapy, and that has been an enormous part of my journey. I actually changed therapists in 2018. I'd been sort of seeing a therapist on and off for about, 8 years. Throughout my time, in active addiction, I was seeing a therapist. And that change was massive for me. Just a different energy, just a refresh. And I just started listening more. I started listening more, and I started connecting more. I think for me, it was all about being my authentic self. I read this wonderfully simplistic definition of the word integrity the other day. And integrity is when your insides match your outsides. And I realized that 5 years into my recovery, which was 2 years ago, I turned 40, which was another massive part of my journey. I think for so many people, it's a milestone, isn't it? It gets you to reflect of where you've been and where you're heading. And it was a case of my outsides sometimes just really still weren't matching my insides, and I wanted to be authentic. And that meant making a lot of painful decisions, including boundaries around people in my life, people that were very dear and close to me, and just realizing, what am I absorbing? What am I spending my time paying attention to? Is that my fear? Is that things that are going to lift me up or just keep me back? Am I looking back, or am I looking forward when I'm ignoring the now? All of those slight platitudes, I know, but sometimes they're powerful, those cliches, And I realized I just had to be authentic, and I wasn't being authentic by, for example, with you and I was living in fear. My theory was, if I was writing, it was too set in stone. There wasn't any fluidity to it. But if I was improvising all the time, well, if it was great, I'm a genius. And if it was rubbish, well, I made it up on the spot. And that was all fear-based. And I was too busy living in fear-based. So I had to learn. I had to rewire a lot of my old script, is what the therapy term is, and I had to let go. I had to surrender a lot, and this was a few years into my recovery that I just started to really find out. I got into a relationship where this man loved me in a way that I wasn't loving myself, and I'm so grateful for that. The love I have from him it's unconditional. It's love it's Disney love, quite frankly. I'm a princess, I tell you. And but I needed to match that. If not more, I needed to do that. So I had to do the work, Lizzie. I had to show up for myself. And that was through connecting podcasts, just interviews and books, and for me, the artist's way, as I know it was for you. The artist's way, for anyone who doesn't know it, it's by a woman called Julia Cameron, and she is in recovery herself. If anyone out there is creative and feels blocked, this was a game changer for me, because it just did unblocking, and I just started showing up more and more. And just despite the outcome, realizing I can't control everything. And I swear to God, things started coming my way. Things started coming my way. I'm not like in this amazing position in my life, but I'm in a position where I'm starting to realize my dreams at 42, thank you very much. And they don't involve a conventional setup that society tells us, they don't involve children, which has been a very confusing, painful place for me, as it has for a lot of people out there I know. And it doesn't involve, having blood family around. It doesn't involve a lot of things that a lot of people have that they think they need. I just started saying yes to me more, really. I feel like I'm on Oprah right now, but I'm bloody loving it.
Oh, Ali, I'm so blessed to have you as a friend in my life, and we talk about stuff for the future, because, as you know, we're opening can you believe it, a TV studio, a healthy performance space. Is that not just ridiculous?
I can't believe it, because Lizzie you have always been. I've always been, and I am ashamed to say this. There was the time for me that Lizzie's energy and Lizzie's vision, I'm talking third person like you're not here, and Lizzie's ability to go, yes, why not? I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab life. I'm going to make things happen. And for me, because I was in fear, I was like, whoa. And I put boundaries up with you many a time. And I was intimidated by that. And actually now, just look at what you are manifesting, you are making happen, and you've inspired me to do the same. And it feels like we're both very in sync now, because I embrace that side of you more. Look at what's happening. I'm not surprised, is my point, because you've been talking about it for years, and now it's happening. Didn't think it would happen in Canada, but it's happening.
Well, I don't know if there's just not enough room for both of us in England, Ali Kahn. But yeah, so I wonder if I could, at some point, when you get a free moment from your, working and blowing up exponentially on the children's comedy scene in England, because you are so funny. Check out the Big Comedy Shop. If you're in England and you've got children, I'm sure you've got online stuff going on, haven't you, at the moment, Ali?
Yeah, that's right.
So you can get involved with that. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. I've actually done a few classes for you, haven't I? I got a few gigs off you and took some school classes and stuff. So I'm so grateful for that. If you ever feel inclined to come and do a little bit of a class on our online program, Hilarapy's online program, just for our students to just meet you for an hour or two, I would be totally totally blessed. And in the future, I
Yes.
know once everything's up and running and COVID's opened the world up, you and your lovely husband are going to come out and stay, and we can put some shows on in the club, and and pull in the fans. We've got our solid fans here on lockdown with Lizzie that come every week. All 5 of them. Yeah, all five of them, and there's that. Here they are. Oh, 4 of them and me. But have you frozen? I don't know if you've frozen.
Oh no, how annoying. Do I look attractive still?
Yeah, you've frozen in a laugh, which is wonderful. I mean, maybe you have, but that's okay. We've kind of come to the end of the interview time, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Is there anything you want to tell the world just before?
I'm here.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything? What your message to the world is through lockdown?
God, what's my message to the world? I don't know, just because lately, first of all, read a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. That's what I'm on at the moment. It's Stop Pleasing, Start Living. That's a great book. And that's where I got the integrity quote from, actually. I just think it's like, if there's something in your life that you are feeling icky about and stuff, it's because you're probably not just being your true authentic self. And get writing. Just write it all out. That's what this Artist Way thing taught me. Just do a journal every morning and just get in and let it out, So anyway, that's my message of the day anyway.
So I'm gonna double down on that message, sort of free flow consciousness writing. I absolutely champion it. If you take my free class on hilarapy.com, I show you a kind of step-by-step way of kind of using that process to access some of the deeper stuff. And you are absolutely right, Ali, on that yuckiness. And what we tend to do is we tend to kind of go to our addictions, whether that's TV or, for me, news with Donald Trump. Or anything. I always have to drop it in. Okay, I'm obsessed with it. It's awful. But actually, that yucky feeling is something we need to sit with and look at and work with, because that's where the gold is, underneath all that yuck.
The Golden Girls. That's where the Golden Girls.
That's what I say. Stay golden, Ali Kahn. Thank you so much for being on the show. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you, my darling. Stay well.